All right, everybody, welcome back to Cocktails, Code, and Conversation. Another episode for you as we hop into season 2. And this is the premiere episode of season 2. Some things have changed with the podcast. Still going to be giving you all the great conversations as usual, just a little bit more segmented now. So with this one, we're going to kick this off with a special guest, and you'll hear about her right after the break. Welcome to season 2. Okay, we are back. Season 2 has officially begun. So excited. And to kick it off, I have a very special guest who is pretty much like my little sister because I grew up with her older brother in North Carolina, where I went to college, and I was always at their house. And as we tend to do, we just take each other in like family. And so it was awesome to have kind of another North Carolina family kind of take me in. And it's been awesome watching her grow up and turn into the wonderful young woman that she is now. So without further ado, I will let her introduce herself to the millions and millions of fans.
Hi, everyone. My name is Quatyia Gatlin, and I am a Realtor with Keller Williams in North Carolina, Keller Williams, Kernersville, actually. And yes, we have known each other for years since I was a little girl. So I am here to talk about the state of our market and whatever else we need to discuss.
Absolutely. So let's start with Keller Williams and just your journey into real estate. So what was kind of the factors that led you to getting into real estate?
I got into real estate. My ultimate goal is to build generational wealth. I want to be able to have a foundation for my daughter and my family as a whole. Real estate can be something that you can do full-time, part-time, or even if it's just investing that can bring in that additional income that can go long-term. I was living in Florida and I was working, of course, with American Express, and I decided that I wanted to start to tap into that. The truth is, I actually went to a real estate class here in North Carolina, and I was like 21 years old, and they started going over the math details, and I looked over at my best friend, and I was like, let's go. So we left, and my close friends that I grew up with knew that I wanted to do real estate. And then when I moved to Florida, I said, I think it's time. And it still took me some time to get into it, but I did get into it, and I chose Keller Williams because I did research on different brokerage, and Keller Williams seemed to be more fun and welcoming. And they seem to have, and I visited the office, and they seem to have a lot of, which they do, I shouldn't say seem, but they have a lot of systems and tools in place to help you get going. Right. So that's what took me there.
And it's interesting because you dove into one of the other questions I was going to ask is kind of like why Keller Williams, and it's I didn't realize until a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago when I was texting you about it, how much. Like Keller, well, first of all, I didn't realize that this was their headquarters here in Austin, Texas. And it makes sense because I'm like, I see Keller Williams like signs everywhere. I'm like, Jesus, they're huge out here. And I was like, oh, it's their headquarters. That makes sense. But how much they're into technology, right? And the investment that they have put into that and putting into their agents, right? So I thought that was, as a tech person, right? I thought that was really freaking cool. But talk, I guess, a little bit about that from an agent standpoint, like how that helps you just to kind of get started, and then just like in your day to day and working with clients, just talk about how Keller's investment in technology has kind of made it easier, for you to find success.
Yes. That's one of the things that we speak about a lot is that Gary Keller looks at Keller Williams as a tech company now. One of the things that I've helped, and it may seem small, but just even something as small as we have a system where we can go into and we can get all of our posts to social media. So if you want to post a quick something up about Keller Williams on Facebook or Instagram, you can go right into the system, find the slide, and create it from there. It's not like you have to go in Canva and create your own, or reach out to someone that does digital marketing and have them to create this whole platform for you. It's already there in the system. You just have to log in. We also have the mobile app. I think I was speaking to you about that as well. Instead of the business card, which is fine. The business card is still good for some clients or some people. But having that tech where I can just text you my mobile app, and it's a GPS operated app. And if you're just driving around a certain area and you say, okay, I wonder if there's any houses here, you can tap on that app and it'll pull up all the homes that are for sale in that area. And if you like it, you reach out to me or whoever the agent is that sent you that app. That helps a lot. We also have a system called Kelly. And what that basically does is kind of like having your own personal assistant in your phone. It's like a Siri for Keller Williams. If you need to say call client such and such, it'll make that call. Or, whatever the case may be pertaining to your business, you have the option to go in and establish all of that within the Kelly app, I guess you would say. What else do they offer technology wise? It's so much that they offer.
That's amazing. And it, what it really hits home for me. Like I've seen, some of their advertisements, right? Like there's fastest growing, agency out there, and just some of the stuff that I've seen, and I'm just, it's not my world. It's not my area. So I'm just like, oh, okay, that's cool. But then it's like when I started really looking into it, I'm like, wow, like they really do have a lot. And, it's interesting that you say that, the founder like realizes that, hey, this is not, you're a tech company, right? Which is interesting, in a topic that's come up a couple of times as I've talked to people, kind of in my field, about that, is that in today's society, you can't be a company without being a tech company. Like, unfortunately, that's just fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you're looking at it. That's just the reality. Right. And so much of the world runs on technology and the ability to do things. And it just gives you so much of an advantage like that. Just listen to, with the app. That's as a realtor, like how cool is that, to where it's like, okay, like, I think one of the things that I would hear from a lot of realtors is like when you're first trying to get clients and people want to drive around, like you want to prioritize, like, okay, do I want to drive all across the city and spend gas and all this stuff, whatever, and take these people to go see these houses and all this stuff, whatever. Now it's kind of like, okay, well, let me send you the app, right? Hey, go find the neighborhoods. Like if you want me to go, I can go with you, but hey, I'm basically with you at any given time. The app is with you. So you can go see what's for sale and be like, oh, I like this one. Tap on it and be like, okay. And just like that, like I'm assuming then like now you have the information about what the house it is. You can get in contact with, like it's that just sounds awesome, right? It's like I basically can take my realtor with me in my pocket wherever I go.
Absolutely. And the thing about it, that as well, is that, like you say, some people it's okay, some people it's not. But how, even outside of real estate, if you have a business, how many people do you give your business card to and never collect their information? How do you get in contact with that person again? How do you know if they really need your help? There's no way for you to genuinely follow up unless you say, hey, what's your number? This is a way for you guys to actually exchange information, and you can hand them your business card, quote unquote, through a text. So that's another way that you can just stay in contact. Hey, I sent you my app a couple of weeks ago, just checking in, see how everything is going. Much better than just passing out your business card. The app as well, one of the things that I noticed with the app that I really like also is if you receive it and you actually go in and play around with it, it gives you the step-by-step process of buying a home. It also gives you the step-by-step process of selling your home. So it's not just, let me find a home. I'm going to reach out to you. Let's go look at this house. There's other features in there that can help keep you informed about what's going on, or just buying a home in general, or even neighborhood insights.
Nice. So how do you, from a realtor's perspective, right? I kind of want to dig into that, right? About like the other steps to getting a home. So, my passion is personal finance, right? And so I'm big on, helping people understand finance and putting together their financial plan for what they need to do. And part of the things that I tell a lot of my clients is there's a difference between buying a home and keeping a home, right? And, those two things aren't necessarily exactly the same thing, right? Because, right. And and sometimes people think that I don't pit people against their realtors, and that's not the case. I just tell people, it's like, look, your realtor is there to help you go through the process of getting a home, and that's what they're going to do. Like, your good realtor is going to walk you through and give you the neighborhood stats, and they're not financial experts, so they may know a little bit about and connect you with people, but they'll tell you, here's what's required to go get it. But keeping your home is on you, right? As the person that's buying it. So, but from a realtor perspective, right? So when you're working with a client and that stuff kind of comes up, what are some of the things that kind of go through your mind, or things that you try and do with your clients to make sure that like, hey, like, this is good. We can go look at these houses, but like, are you ready, for this house?
One of the things that our first initial thing that I look at is, how soon are you starting? Like, are you want to purchase a home, or if you're leasing, or do you have to be out of wherever the case may be? Do you have to be out next month, next week, or when is your time up at your current location? Someone that starts preparing for this early, I'm saying in my mind, and sometimes I even tell them, you're ready. Just you actually starting 6 months ahead, a year ahead, lets me know that you actually are ready to put in the footwork to buy this home. Because it's not like you're going in and signing a lease, and, an apartment lease, they'll get you in 2 weeks, if not less. This is totally different. Even if your credit is right, your debt to income ratio is right, your finances are on point, it still may take you 30 to 45 days before you even get in the home, if not longer, depending on what may come up through inspection. So that's one of the initial things that I look at, is how soon are they starting this process? I also say that I'm so super happy that you said that. I do try to advise everyone that I am not a loan officer. I am not licensed to produce mortgage loans. And I'm also not a credit repair specialist. Some people add that onto their resume as a realtor, and that's great. And I'm not a financial advisor. So there are certain things that when you start to ask certain questions, I'm going to refer you out to a lender or to a financial advisor, because my job as an agent is to help you find a home and negotiate the terms on your behalf and get the deal done, get you in your home. Right.
And that's, I think that's so like incredibly important for just, buyers and people to understand, right, what the real, I don't want to say look what the real job is, but what the realtor is there to really help you do, right? And I think much more in realty, because that it's such a relationship kind of based thing, right? I mean, these are, when somebody's buying a home, like that's what I mean? That's a big thing, right? It's especially if it's their first home or they're expanding their home, right? And so there's all these things they have to think about. There's just the emotional attachment to like, hey, is this where we're going to live? Is this where we're going to raise our family? Is this where we're going to, and so I think that's one of the things that I've, in my experience, has made really good realtors, is just that ability to not only look at all what I would call in this case, like the technical stuff, like, okay, let's understand the negotiations and how to put the contract on it and all that stuff and how to get you to close. And that's all the technical stuff, but it's really just that one-on-one, like, hey, like, let me help you find what you need. Right. And let's kind of walk you through that. So, I want to shift gears just a little bit. So you said in the beginning that when you were looking at this, it was you wanted to create, generational wealth and, start to do more things. What, talk a little bit about, again, kind of like what led you to real estate for that? Like, so you say generational wealth, so I want to look at real estate. Like, in your mind, what was the connection to those two?
Everybody's always going to need a place to stay.
Very true.
Just like that. Everybody's always going to need a place to stay. And it's not going out of style. It's not ever going to go out of business. And what could I create that would last for a lifetime, or that can be a legacy, or that I can build as a trade that I can say, okay, Kennedy, at 10, come sit in the office with me and watch how I fill out this contract, and give it a blueprint and give it a steps. Like, this is what you do. This is how you do it. So by the time she's graduating high school, when she's 17 or 18, and she can make the decision, do I want to continue on with this business that I've learned since a kid? Or do I want to go off to college? Or do I want to establish my own? If nothing else, I'm teaching her how to build a business or be brave enough to go out on your own. So that's what, and this was long before I had Kennedy. This was long before I had my daughter. This was just something that I knew I wanted to do, even just with my mom and my brothers. Like, eventually I would always say, like, we could do this ourselves. And I always tell everybody this story. It's funny because when I was in Florida, there's a lady that her mom is an agent. She's an agent, and her daughter's an agent. So you're talking 3 generations of realtors. You can't beat that. And who's to say that the daughter, her children won't be an agent? It's just a lifetime of wealth if it's done right, and you go through with the strategies and you build the business off of models and not just run in head first.
Right. And that's, you know what, and that's powerful because, you know, one of the things that really hit to me when you said it is you're able to teach your daughter and show her what it's like to run a business and develop a trade, right? Something that's a skill set that's hers, that she can then decide, okay, I can keep doing this or not doing this or whatever. Or what I think is more powerful is, like, because you're showing her that she's watching you and she's doing it, and she, you know, does that from 10 to 18, but she's also realized that, okay, well, if I can learn that, okay, maybe I don't want to do this. This was cool, but maybe I want to learn something else. Then she's just like, all right, well, it's going to be, it's nothing to her. Right. And to your point, that is truly, that's the power behind generational wealth, right? Is you're teaching and showing them. So that's all they know. So they don't think any different of, like, wait, why would I go? Wait, you want me to go do what? You want me to work for who? For how long?
Right.
Why would I do that though? Exactly. Wait, break. Hold on. I gotta tell you when I'm, no, wait, I don't understand. When I was with mom, we just went to lunch whenever we wanted to go to, I got to tell you when I don't know if I like that. No, I'm good. I think I'm gonna just take this trade thing and go do something else. Right. But, and I think that's so powerful, that those are the secrets, right? Especially in the African-American community, right? That we don't see a whole lot. Right. And so I think it's very important to start establishing those patterns. It's, here recently, we had the opportunity to look at purchasing some property here in San Antonio, and wasn't the right situation at the time. Okay. But the interesting thing is we ended up meeting the owner, right? And the owner talked about how his dad had bought the land, and then they started a record company, and he was just like you were talking about. You do with Kennedy. This is what his dad did with him. So he grew up watching his dad run this business, right? And learning all these different things. So then when it was his time to take over, his dad was like, all right, now I'm gonna give it to you. He's like, okay. So then he learned everything his dad taught him. And then he was able to apply that to other things. He's like, well, Dad, if we did this, we can do this and we can do this. And so they just kept building now to the point where, he's looking like, okay, he then did the same thing with his daughter. By the time his daughter was like 8, he had like a little, storefront, and he had his daughter as the receptionist, and she would take the orders, and she was handling the money and all this stuff or whatever at 8. And so now she's 21, and she's like, that's all she knows is like running the business. She's like, they're like, oh, what are you gonna do? Like, her friends he's telling her, she's hanging out with her friends. It's like, our friends are gonna go off to college, gonna do this, gonna get this job. And I go, what are you gonna do? She goes, I'm probably gonna start this business, and they're just like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, like, why would I not? Like, why would I not? That's all she knows, right? And so they're right there, right there is three generations, right? So I think that's powerful. And so I'm so happy that you're doing that. And we need, obviously we need more of that. And I think that's part of the reason why, this platform and doing these conversations is I want people to hear, everybody's different perspectives and hear what people are doing to get inspired by that.
I just wanted to just tap on that again. Just really, as you said, even if they just watch your habits, even if the children decide that they don't want to necessarily go into the music business or real estate, your children are watching your habits. So if your children see you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or they know that you're up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and by 7 o'clock you're at your desk doing whatever the case may be, or if you're baking cakes, you're in the kitchen prepping for your next order, like they're watching those habits. So they may not necessarily jump into the same business, or they may not even want to follow out with their own trade. Even if they do decide to go to school, these are habits that you're instilling in them that can build a better career if they do decide to go into the corporate world, right, whatever the case may be. So,
absolutely,
just know that they're always watching, even your mistakes. If they do decide to go into the business behind you, teach them your mistakes. Don't sugarcoat it. Say, hey, look, I failed. So when they do go in and they start to build on their own, they can say, hey, I remember mom or dad failed in this area. So now I can figure out in this generation, how can I fix it?
Absolutely. And they can watch and adapt and go that much further, right? Because they watched you. So it's like, okay, if mom did it in 5 years doing this, and this, and we all remember when we was, I can do that better. Right? Like, okay, cool.
Exactly. My
do
point.
it better,
exactly.
Right? Like, here's you saw everything that I did, so now go do it better. Take everything that you know that I've taught you and go do it better, right? And I think that's the area where we should encourage that with the kids in that generation. Go do it better. Like, you think there's a better way? Like, then do it. Right? It should never be a fight.
And please
right? You know what I mean? Like, and why you do it? Show me, because we families. So we in this thing.
Look how look how much technology has advanced from when we were kids, to now. It's like, had my parents actually been doing this, they were, from my understanding, agents at one time were flipping through the white pages, making phone calls, looking for business. Whereas now I can just spark a conversation with you in the store or wherever and send you my app. So much easier. So
definitely. Would you say, have you faced any challenges being, an African-American woman in the real estate industry? Oh, that was that deep Negro spiritual side.
Have I faced any challenges? Let me see. And I'm thinking, have I really faced any challenges, or am I making excuses before I answer that? Okay. So that's how I came out like that. I do, for my personal, I'll speak on a personal level. I do feel like, in my background, there wasn't anyone in my immediate circle that was already in business. And my parents were workers, so they didn't really make those type of connections that could connect me to other people. I have to go out and get it on my own, which is fine. Comes with the territory. But I noticed that it's not always that way with other cultures. They have somewhat larger connections. So when it comes to getting into business, it may be a lot easier. Like, if your dad, just use it as an example, if your parents already own rental properties, it's going to be much easier for you to tap into that field. If your parents already have a, hair salon, it's going to be easier for you to tap into that field. But if your parents are 9 to 5, and you aren't, when you do something, you're doing it as a family, it's going to be harder for you. I do say that I have to carry myself a certain way. Um, and that could be my own mindset. But I feel like because I am an African American woman, um, I, I'm not able to do things that others are able to do. I have to hold my head a lot higher and be a lot more mindful of what I do because in society, it's not a secret. We aren't easily forgiven.
Right.
So I have to walk a different route. Um, Challenges that just as a woman sometimes, even outside of being an African American woman, just as a woman, can you get the deal done? Can you get it closed? Like, do you know how to negotiate? And if I do go too hard on negotiations, or if I do go too hard and say, look, you got to stop and listen to me as your professional, just stop. I don't want to come off as the feisty, angry
Right.
black woman.
Right.
Whereas someone else can say the exact same thing that I said and say it with just as firm as I did and it not be
Right.
perceived that way.
It's perceived as, oh, she's a go-getter. She's
Yeah, right,
she's really bossing up, but you do it and it's, well, she had a little attitude, right? It's
yes,
always these little, it's always funny, the adjectives, right, that change depending on
right,
who the person is. So yeah, that and I want to give some room to breathe and give some power to what you said in the beginning. Am I facing challenges or am I making excuses? Which to me automatically already says so much about where your mindset is, and that you are aware of fully what's going on. And look, we nobody makes any bones about what it's like in this country, right? Systemic racism is a
right,
problem. Inequality is a problem, period. Right? Black, white, Asian, like
absolutely,
we can, it's all over the place. So that does exist. But also, there's a lot of that because we're so, I would say in this country, preconditioned to that sometimes we let those become excuses. And then we go, oh, well, because of this,
right,
I'm not going to even try because it's that, or whatever. Right. And so, number one,
right,
like I'm super proud that you see the difference. Right. And it's not always easy to pull across, like sometimes it's just, you don't know. Right. It's like, I don't know if I am making
right.
excuses or this, it really is a challenge, because sometimes it's a little bit of both. Right. And I think the one thing that we
Mm-hmm,
learn as we get older is that the world is not black and white. There is so much gray. It's just,
mm-hmm.
and for me, that's really hit home these last, I would say 6 or 7 years. I've just seen more and more. It's like, man, like it's just, shit is just hard. It's not, it's not always just very
Yeah,
clear. And so, but I would implore people to really look at that, right? Like, despite everything that's there, and for African Americans, it's hard, right? There's a lot of stuff and there's a lot of pain, a lot of anger when we see something that's not right. But we have to be mentally strong enough to go, okay, cool, but I'm not going to turn that into an excuse, right? That doesn't
right,
mean that I still can't go and do what I need to do. It may mean it's going to be a little bit harder. Okay. You know what I mean?
right.
It may be a little tougher. Okay. But I can sit here and complain about it and get in my feelings about it, or I can just go get shit done.
I can just go get it done because my parents didn't have other doctors or lawyers or other business owners around them. Does that mean that I don't have to go get it? I should be doing it to honor
Right.
them. Just say, hey, you don't have to work as hard anymore. Or because you work so hard, now that you are retired, you don't just have to depend on a Social Security because I'm going to go get
Right.
it. And I don't, my color I don't want to say, I don't want to use that as an excuse of why I can't go get it. I'm going to do business with who wants to do business with me, regardless of
Right.
your color. And that's it. If you don't want to do business with me because of I am an African American woman, so be it. What's for me is for me. What the Most High has planned for me because of the work that I put in, regardless of my color, is going to come to me. You're rewarded based off of your
Right.
diligence. your consistency, not your color, regardless of who you are. Yeah, you may get, now we do know that there is favoritism in certain areas when you do certain things, but I'm always going to be rewarded because of the work whatever work you put in, that's where your rewards are going to come from. If you make one or two real estate phone calls or one or two, whatever, like I said, baking cakes, whatever, if you only make one or two cakes and the other side is making 6 or 7 a day, it's not a color issue. It's
Right.
work ethic. You know?
Yep.
And she's just given the other side has just given themselves more of an opportunity to be present in the world where you haven't, because you haven't put in that work. Now, again, I'm not ignoring the color issue. I'm not, because I've experienced it out here. I mean, some hear my voice, some hear my name. And they're like, no, thank you. And I'm okay with that. I don't want to work with you if you're going to act like that. You're not my business. So
have you so something that I saw on Twitter the other day. So number one, like a real quick tangent. The ultimate clapback couple is John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. Like, if you don't follow them on Twitter for pure entertainment alone, because they don't let you get away with nothing. So I forgot what it was, but somebody, I don't know who, I forgot the account that posted it, but they were talking about how realtors were not realtors, but companies were starting to go into descriptions, and instead of doing like a master bedroom and this, that, they were going to come up with like different names, for the bedrooms or whatever. And so John Legend retweeted it and was like, I'm paraphrasing, but like you have to go back and find this tweet. But basically he was like, okay, that's cool. But how about we focus on the fact that realtors won't work with Black families to go find houses. How about we do that? Like, how about we focus on the fact that, which has been documented, that a Black family will come in and look to work with a realtor and look for a house, and they won't take their information, won't take them out on houses, but a non-Black family will come in, same exact credentials, same everything else, and they'll jump up, go tell them on houses, go do all these things or whatever. And it was very, it was classic John Legend. And because he does everything. Like, Chrissy gets like straight gutto with it. Like, Chrissy will just come for your neck. Yeah. John will do it in a nice, classy way. It'll be all properly grammar, but you still be like, damn, John, like, you're right. But have you so far in your career in realty, which is as you're building your empire, because that's what you're gonna do, because it runs in the family.
I received that.
Come on now, like we already know. But have you seen any of that or going on since you've been doing it?
So it's funny you said that, because one thing I can say, that just to back up, me and my mom literally had this conversation last night where she was stating that when we first moved down from New York, every office that she went to, and I'm not going to say the name because it's not Keller Williams who gave it to her, but every office that she went to, they turned her and my dad down. And they were coming from New York just looking for a place to rent until they were able to establish themselves. And this one agency was like, you know what? The lady was like, you know what? I just got engaged. I'm in a really good mood. Here's the keys. Go take a look and see if you like it. And if you like it, you guys can go ahead. And it was just as simple as her. And I said, well, what made her give you the key outside of that? She was like, well, she called our landlord, our property manager in New York, and found out our rental history. And once she heard it was good, she was okay. So they were turned down by several agencies just because of their color, when only thing they had to do was pick up the phone call and see that my parents had an excellent rental history. That was it back in those days. And they weren't even doing that. So to go to what you were saying with John Legend is, have I experienced that? I mean, I haven't personally experienced where I've seen someone, not me personally, where I've seen someone turned around because of their color or because I see that someone of a different culture or Caucasian is given more houses to see. Um, what I can say to that is, again, do business with people who want to do business with you. Not to go against John Legend, but you're John Legend. And even just day-to-day people, we'll go on Facebook and say, hey, anybody have any recommendations for blah, blah, blah? What's the difference? If you felt like you were being turned away because someone, because a white realtor didn't want to show you all the homes, jump on Facebook. Who do you know? Everybody that is on social media or just day-to-day, you know at least two people in your circle that, if not, you know at least one person in your circle that does real estate. You can call your grandmother, you can call your church member, you can go to somebody that you work with. You know somebody that knows an agent that would be willing to do that business with you. So if they're not showing you the homes that you want to see, or you feel like you're being turned away because of your color, then stop doing business.
Right. And
you know, that's more, to me, that's more of a character issue. So it's like, okay, move on.
I think when the best realtor that I've ever worked with, that I ever met so far, because I have a feeling you're gonna take her spot at some point. But
see that.
When I was working with her when I was in Northern Virginia, and the one thing that I think I really admired about her was number one, she knew everything. Like we would walk by a house and I'd be like, oh, I like, she goes, no, you don't like that. Why? And she would just see all the stuff, like from a realtor perspective, I wasn't even looking at. She's like, look, the roof's probably about 8 years old, need to be done. You're going to turn around, you see this over here. This means that this guy, I'm just like looking at her like, yo, you were like a freaking robot. Like, this is crazy. But she just also knew, she was like, look, at the end of the day, she was like, I realized that, you know, she was like, you can choose any real, there's nothing stopping you from, we can go look at a house today, but that don't mean nothing. You can call somebody else and go look with somebody else tomorrow. Like, she was like, as the buyer, she goes, it is my job to make sure that I do everything I can for you, so you feel like I don't need to go anywhere else. Because if at any point you feel like, well, I want to go, then you have the right. And she would tell people straight up, like as soon as they would get ready to go out, she was like, hey, look, there's no obligation. I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna show you the home. But if you don't, you know, if something doesn't feel right, she's like, please, she goes, and I won't take offense. Like, go find another realtor. She goes, I'm about you finding the house, if that's with me or somebody else, period. And that's how she ran everything. And so it was just like, for me, it was just that developed so much level of trust, because I knew that it was about, she was going to help me find what I needed, regardless if she was going to get a check at the end of the day or not. And by doing that, she always got a check. Like, because it was just like, yo, why would I go with anybody else? Because I know you got my back. You're going to tell me what I need to know, what's going on. Like, and you know, and we ended up developing a great friendship, her and her husband and her kids. Like, and it was fantastic. And I'm just like, that, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I think, the thing that I've noticed with realty is like, it's about those relationships, man. And showing people like, hey, like I'm here for you. Like, yes, I can have all the knowledge in the world, but more than anything else, like, I am here to help you do all these things that you don't have time to do, or you don't want to have to do. Is like, you know, taking your car to the mechanic. Could you fix your car yourself? Absolutely. Do you want to? Right. No. That's why you go. That's why you go. I mean, some people do, but.
And are you going to do business with someone that's only going to fix it halfway? You're going to stop him and say, you're not doing the business the right way. I'm going to work with someone else. That's it. I have one thing. It's never about the money until you make it about the money with me. The money's going to come. I always say that. I tell anybody that, whoever, client or no client, the money's going to come. So if you make it about the money, then that's what it's going to be about. But if we make it about finding you a home and getting you exactly what you need for your family or whatever your current life situation is, then this is what it's going to be about. And we're going to close. second point is I had a friend, another one of my best friends. She just purchased a home, and she called me and she was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that I'm about to purchase a home. I don't want you to take offense to it, but as my friend, I want you to know I'm getting ready to jump out there." She said, "You've been on me about it. I'm just going to do it." And the loan officer provided her with two options, and it was a Black woman and a white woman. And she called, and the first lady, the Black woman, she called her and she said, "Hey, I want to purchase a home because this is not going to be my only purchase, and I want to live somewhere where it's not, where I can eventually turn it into an investment, a rental." And she was like, "I don't want to live in any bad areas." Then the agent goes to her, "Well, there are no bad areas." And my friend is like, "Yes, there is." And so then she calls the other lady and she tells her the same story. And the lady tells her, "I'm not going to move you any place that I would not want to come visit myself once we close." And she said, "That's what I'm going with," because she was honest. She didn't sugarcoat it and make it seem like, "Oh no, it's all nice out here." Because that agent was honest with her from the very beginning, it allowed her to feel comfortable to build that relationship with her. So as she goes on, this is who she's going to work with. She wanted that honesty. And that's how good relationships are established off of that. Like you said, she was honest. She's upfront. So that's what real estate is about also, relationship building. I also tell people that if you're starting a year out, 6 months out, and I'm doing my job and you're working with me, we're going to be friends once this is over. There's no way we can go 6 months out or a year out talking on the phone at least once a month down to about every single day, and that we're not going to build a good relationship.
I feel like that's how it, for me, that's how it should be, right? Like I always like to have, used to say like, I got a guy, right? I say like I have a person, right? So lawyers got him, engineers, obviously that was my field. So I got a bunch of engineers, people I can call on, like, real estate agents, investments, like always want to have somebody that you can develop that relationship with, you can trust. Number one, like you can grow and learn more, but then two, like you can learn up to the point that you want to learn, right? Like it's cool for me to look in real estate. It's like, oh, like I know this, but at the end of the day, there's some stuff that I don't have an interest in or care to have that capacity. That's why I have friends that are realtors. Then I just go, "Hey, I'm looking at this. What do you think? Cool. Let's go make this happen." Right. And it's one of those things that I think, this area, I would say, I tell a lot of young people that I run across and that I'm privileged to mentor, learn how to network, learn how to build relationships, learn how to market, learn how to sell, right? I don't care what your profession is. It don't matter. You need to learn those 4 things. I was like, because that is truly kind of what makes, business go and happen and move. Because those are the cogs that really drive the system. Like everything else is what you think it is like, yeah, but it really comes down to the other thing. I've seen so many deals happen on a golf course, right? Just because it's like, hey, such and such calls up this person, hey, we're going golfing. Okay, we need a foursome, come in, blah, 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 whatever. And it went from having golf, joking, just, messing around to now all of a sudden, just again, natural conversation. Now you're talking about business. It's, man, I've been trying to do X and Y. And it's like, oh man, well, I got done. Right. By the time the 18th hole come across, business deal done. Like, and never would have happened if, those people weren't kind of in that network, right? Understanding how to talk to people, how to connect with people. That's something that I think is I will say 2 things in the younger generation is kind of missing a little bit. And then in our community, the African-American community, really need to understand. Like that's one of the things I try and hammer home as many times as I can is understand how to network and how to connect with people. right? Not just superficial
Right.
stuff, trying to be friends and this, no, just like truly like connect and network. Like, how can I help you? What can I like? What do you need help with? Where can I find, a hand or something else that I can connect you with? Cool. And then at some point, at some point in return, can you do the same thing for me? And it becomes mutual, right? It's just like, hey, I
Right.
just want to help. Cool. Let me connect you with that. All right, bet. Now you're because that starts to become so valuable, right? Everybody, is your net worth is determined by your network, right? Like people are starting to hear that more and more. And I'm like, you got to understand what that is. And in my career, in my life, it's been, it's been invaluable. Like I'm so glad I had a mentor very early on who taught me and talked to me about networking. And I will never forget. I was at Lockheed Martin. I've been there maybe like 6-7 months. It was an older black gentleman. He came up to me. We would talk here and there. And he's like, you have a pair of golf clubs? I was like, no. He's like, go get one. I was like, I don't want to play no golf. And he just looked at me. He said, all right, I'm 20, 24, 25. You can't tell me nothing. I didn't graduate. I got my comp sci degree. You don't tell me nothing, no, man. So he says, okay. Waits a couple of weeks. He goes, you get them golf clubs yet? I was like, no, man, I don't want to play no golf. All right. A month later, he walks into like the little cubicle because he had an office. I had a cubicle. That should tell you something right there, folks. Like that's the first thing. That's how hard headed I was, right? Like I'm in a cubicle, you at the office, and I ain't listening. But whatever, right? I know everything.
You should
exactly, right? And I'm just like, what? So he comes. He walks by my cubicle and says, hey, come back to my office when you get a chance. I said, okay. Walk to his office, and to the right is a set of golf clubs. He goes, hey, this is my son's set. This is the first set that I bought him, and I'm gonna give them to you. And he goes, you need to take them and go learn and go play golf. Just go to the driving range, go hit him. I was like, man, and now I feel obligated because he's not asking me to pay for them. He's giving them to me, right? So I'm like, ugh. I was like, all right, man, I'll take them. So I go put them in my car, and then about another month passes. He sees me, goes, you use them golf clubs yet? I was like, all right, I'm gonna go today. He goes, all right. So I went out to the range and I'm just swinging around at these freaking golf clubs. I don't even know what I'm doing. And so then I go back and I tell him, I was like, hey, like, he goes, okay, well, hey, at least you used them. He goes, I was like, but it was actually pretty cool kind of being out there. I hit a couple of shots and it was a cool feeling. He was like, okay, you need to go and play. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. He was like, just go play. And to wrap it up, right. He's like, just go play. Right.
Just show up.
So I start going out, I start playing, and I'm just like, yo, this is really fun. I started enjoying it. A year and a half later, I befriended another gentleman who used to be a lawyer, now worked for Lockheed Martin, but who was friends with a friend of the local district attorney. And I ended up going out and golfing with them. Right. And we're just hanging out. And at the time, I don't know that this guy is a district attorney. But we're, going out having fun, like just, hitting this stuff or whatever. And, he goes, hey man, yeah, anytime you want to, come out, like, feel free to let Mike know that was the guy that I knew and we'll come out and play. And so then I was like, yeah, Mike, who was that guy? He goes, oh, that was a district attorney. I was like, the what? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, and since then, so many opportunities have come across from just me playing golf. I've met certain people in network, right?
Right.
I had a chance to go play golf with George Gervin, like just because that gentleman knew, like he saw me, he was like, you need to learn this, right? And it ain't something that you may want to do or whatever. He goes, but you need to understand where actual business happens, right? And so
it's bigger than golf.
It was so much bigger than golf, right? And it's those things, right, that I think and because of that and my mentor, like I took that with me and it's like, all right, I'm always going to network. I'm always going to, try and find ways to, just be there, talk to people, connect with people. What are you doing? And then when I was younger, it was, what can I do? Maybe I can get an internship. How can I help you? Is there anything I can do? Now that I've gotten a little older and I've actually built something for myself, it's like, okay, it's still the same thing. How can I help you? But now I'm more reaching out. It's like, who can I connect with who, right? Who can I get over here and put you in a position to go do what you got to do, right? And I don't know. I think that was probably one of the most valuable lessons that I learned there. So it is definitely something a skill that we need to develop and make sure we get in our community. And so as
Absolutely.
we kind of wrap up here. So we're just about the 50-minute mark. We're going to switch over to like, this is the last segment that I always do in the podcast. It is the world famous segment. I'm claiming all this because, like, trust me, by the end of the year, we're going to get up to like 1 million people downloading. Everybody going to be like, what?
World famous.
I was like, have you heard that podcast you ain't heard?
Yeah, that's him.
Like, yeah, that's
him.
But yeah, we call this segment the last sip, and we'll get to it right now. Okay, so you've kind of addressed this question a little bit, but we'll go into it a little bit more. So I always in the podcast ask everybody the same question, which is, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, well, what do I want my legacy to be? Wow, what do I want my legacy to be? I want my legacy to be, yeah, that's it. Just basically building that foundation for a family. This is the start of it, for something that can continue on, and just helping people. I genuinely, hands down, love to help people outside of the money, outside of the real estate. I want my legacy to be, I want to be known for helping people and gaining my sense of peace and financial freedom and growth, all of that of just helping people. Just as you said, you know, small things, the networking, who can help who can connect who with who. I think that goes much longer because you may connect somebody with somebody that can open up a door for them that can take them into their legacy for their children. Or you can open up a door for them that can take them out of a financial strain that they have been living with for 10 years or however long it may be. So my legacy is about being, I want my legacy to be about being of support.
All right. Well, you were well on your way to that. As you know, your kind of adopted older brother. I will say I'm very proud of you. It has been,
yay, thank you.
It has been, it's been amazing watching you and Ron. You know, like me and Maine would sit back and kind of have like the different conversations. And I would hear him, like, every time he talks about the two of you, is as hard as he always trying to act like he is, like the softy always comes out in him. He gonna be mad at me because I put this out there, but I don't care. When he talks about y'all two, he's always been like very, very proud of you two, and just you know, typical kind of big brother. And then as we got closer and I kind of had a chance to watch you guys go, like, I mean, just both of you guys, the strength that both you guys have shown, the things that you guys have done over the years has just been, has been awesome. So I'm happy to sit back and watch, and I can't wait to see all the things that you do. I can't wait to see what Kennedy does as she gets older. She takes over the empire. So keep doing it. Keep going. Super proud of you. Thanks for taking the time to be on the podcast. And
yes. Thank you so much for having me. You as well. We've come a long way.
We really have.
We've all come a long way. I mean, we could probably keep this going and go on and on about it, but same to you. Very, 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 very proud. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Not a problem.
Genuinely appreciate it.
Good. All right. So there you guys have it. If you are looking for property in the North Carolina area, specifically, so what areas do you cover? I'm gonna let you do it. Y'all get at your girl.
I cover Guilford County, Forsyth County. So in North Carolina, Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, that full area. Again, Guilford and Forsyth County. I will help you in any area. So if you are looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate anywhere, that is one of the perks of Keller Williams. Reach out to me. I can connect you with an agent that's going to get you what you need. I actually have a relative or friend of a relative that I connected her with an agent in New York. I have some people in Florida. So it doesn't matter. If you want me to do it personally, you have to be in Guilford or Forsyth County. But anywhere, California, New York, Texas, Atlanta, reach out to me and I'll connect you with the top agent with Keller Williams to help you close on your deal.
And there you have it, folks. All right, everybody. So until the next cocktail, until the next conversation, you guys stay safe. Thanks for listening to Cocktails, Code, and Conversation, brought to you by On the Corner Podcast Network. You can check it out at onthecorner.us to hear this podcast and many, many more. Please, please, please like, rate, and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. Sign up for the C3 squad at c3.onthecorner.us. And as you guys know, to the next cocktail, to the next conversation, you stay safe.